Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. So after that Gita Dhyanam and Krishna Vandana, we are on to reading the 44th Shloka of the 6th Adhyaya, the 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Dhyana Yoga, Yoga of Meditation. And Sri Krishna is assuring us that any amount of progress made on this path of yoga, even if a person falls down from attaining the final goal of this path of yoga, the efforts made, they are not waste. He takes birth in a good family and starts once again from where he had left off in the previous birth. That is the greatest assurance that he has given. And not only that, he also told us what kind of family such a person is likely to be born. And in the previous shloka that we read, 43rd shloka, we saw that the beautiful narration that Tatra tam buddhi sanyogam labhate pūrvābhyāsena. In that new birth, the person, this yogi, he regains the knowledge which he had had in the previous birth. And then, yatate chatato bhuyaha sansiddho kurunandana. And having regained that knowledge, oh, I had left this path at this point. Then he restarts walking on that path with even more earnestness. He starts putting in much more effort in reaching on to the final goal. There again he may not. So there is another birth. So Sri Krishna says, don't get disappointed, don't get confused at what will happen to a person who becomes a yoga bhrashta, who falls on this path of yoga without realizing the oneness of all the beings, oneness of all the jivatmans with the Paramatman. Nothing goes waste. And then we had also seen the two beautiful examples Swami Chidbhavananda had quoted to emphasize this fact that the great souls, even the incarnations, they take birth in either of these two families. One is the family where the purity runs into their very veins. The purity is very much a part and parcel of their genetic makeup sort of, and prosperity. Because whatever little small innocent harmless desires they have to fulfill, they need the monetary resources. And they take birth in such families where all those purest of the pure desires can be fulfilled, and they take up the journey further. Or like Sri Ramakrishna, they select place, may not be wealthy enough, may not be, so much of riches, but the piousness, the purity, the devotion, the faith, the shraddha, that is running down the generations in that particular lineage. So they take birth there. Now, for people like, the Swami Vivekananda or Ramakrishna or our Ma, there is no need to carry on from where they had left, because they have already attained the ultimate. But they do this for the sake of other people, strugglers on this path, and then through their lives they set an example before all these the multitude of people. This is how you do it, this is how you do it, time and again. What is the goal of human life? And for this teaching they start treading that path. Otherwise for them there is no path. But for ordinary people like us, yes, we have to start from where we left off in the previous birth, and it automatically happens, Sri Krishna says. Now in this 44th shloka, what he says, Sri Krishna tells is, pūrvābhyāsena tenaiva hriyate hyavaśho saha jijñāsur yogasya śhabda-brahmātivartate. This is a beautiful teaching Sri Krishna is giving, whether one likes it or not. Pūrvābhyāsena tenaiva hriyate hyavaśho saha. Pūrvābhyāsena, all that old knowledge that comes to us through previous births. In one birth we get knowledge up to 0.1 that we had discussed about, the scale of 0 to 10. Then maybe next birth we get additional knowledge. Say we reach the stage of 1.5. Then third birth we start from 1.5. We get the knowledge. This is where we left off. And we start from there. Maybe consciously or unconsciously it happens. So, pūrvābhyāsena tenaiva hriyate. Tena eva hriyate. Is born with that old understanding, with that old gaining of knowledge. Again, the person takes birth and rebirth and rebirth. Hriyate yavashaha. Avashaha api saha. Avashaha is helpless. Avashaha, he, api saha. Although he is helpless, whether I like it or not, whether I want to take birth or not, no, I am forced to take birth because I have not reached the ultimate goal. Having spent a number of countless years in that eternal, plane, eternal abode, again, I have to come down. Maybe I don't like to come down, but I have to, because the knowledge I have started gaining, but I have not reached the ultimate goal. So, avashaha api saha. Although, even if he doesn't like, even if he is helpless, that person has to take birth with that previous knowledge. There is no escape. There is no escape from this cycle till there is the final liberation, final moksha, and that comes only when one gets the ultimate realization. Now Sri Krishna says that jijñāsur api yogasya. Jijñāsur is that anxiety to know, inclination to know, that instinct to know about yoga, about meditation, about who I am, what is my purpose in life, what is my ultimate goal. That the anxiety, that jijñāsa, that of knowing the yoga, knowing this yoga, śhabda-brahmātivartate. Sri Krishna says, starting to walk on this path itself is such a great thing for a person. Even that simple jijñāsa, what lies ahead? Who am I? All those inquiries when they start, even that initial phase of an inquiry, jijñāsa, is far superior. Ativartate, far superior to what? Śhabda-brahma. The word Brahman. Word Brahman here, actually Sri Krishna has used the word śhabda-brahma, which means beyond the Vedic understanding of Brahman. So an ordinary person having a slight inquisitive nature, what lies ahead? That stage is far superior, Sri Krishna says, than the Vedic rites, even the Vedic rituals that people perform to know what is Brahman, what is the word Brahman. Because it is all in these Vedic scriptures that the contemplation on Brahman is expounded. Aham Brahmosmi, Tattvamasi. All these high principle utterances we find in these kind of scriptures. And Sri Krishna says, even learning these scriptures, studying these scriptures, getting into these Vedic rituals, getting into these Vedic rites is nothing compared to that small inquisitiveness, who I am. What is the goal of my life? What is the goal of this human life? That jijñāsa, that inquisitiveness, just the starting point of that inquisitiveness is far greater than even the Shabda-brahma. So, Sri Krishna says, don't lose hopes. Even that smallest of the desire that kindles in the mind of a spiritual aspirant is far, and that he cannot avoid, Sri Krishna says, that is, he is helpless about it. Because of his previous good doings, because of his previous inclination to practice the yoga, and because of his previous inclination of vairagya, of non-attachment. It takes birth in such and such family, and it is even that slight amount of anxiety, even that slight amount of desire to know what this yoga is far superior than even going beyond the word Brahman. So, that is the great teaching Sri Krishna has given in this 44th shloka. Let us see some explanation on this. A man pressingly caught up in the midst of a marching multitude is bound to be pushed on to the destination without much effort on his part. If he is marching along with other soldiers. Now, the flow of the marching soldiers is such, whether he likes it or not, he is helpless in that situation, he automatically gets pushed forward. People who have seen, who have experienced the journey in Bombay local trains, they will very well understand that if we have to get out at one station, we don't have to make any effort. We have to just stand there in line of the passengers who are getting down. And automatically through the rush of those passengers, we are pushed out. We don't have to make any effort. We are absolutely, even if we don't want to, sometimes we are pushed out. So the person is helpless because of the impetus, because of the push he gets from the past knowledge. Pūrvābhyāsena. Pūrvābhyāsena tenaiva hriyate. that old knowledge. He's just helpless because of that. Whether he likes it or not, he is pushed on into the next birth. And having gone there, once that jijñāsa, once that anxiety to know, once that inquisitiveness crops in, that's it. That situation, that position itself of inquiry into the path of yoga is far superior than even crossing over the śhabda-brahma, the word Brahman. Similarly, the yoga propensity stored up in the mind in previous births, combined with the present favorable and augmenting atmosphere, rapidly carries the yogi towards the goal, in spite of himself. Now, 2 soldiers in war front were taken prisoners by the enemy and forced to work for him. There was some war happening, and 2 soldiers, they were captured by the enemy and they were taken. Now, one of the 2 got himself reconciled to his captivity and chose to be the careerist under the enemy. One of these 2 soldiers. He thought, okay, now I have been captured, what else can I do? So, let me do whatever my master, new master, he tells me to do. I am in his captivity. And he just he just surrenders that, okay, I am a slave, the master is getting the work done from me, whatever work he tells me, let me satisfy the master. But the other soldier, while the other soldier earnestly studies the ways and means of his escape in the midst of his toiling for the enemy, he also is working. He also keeps on doing work, whatever that new master tells him. But all the time, this fellow is on the lookout. How I can escape from this situation? People of the world are like the first prisoner. The worldly people, they accept, fine, okay, I'm tied up now with this new master. I have to do his work, whatever he tells me. You do this, I will do this. But the yogis, the spiritual aspirants, they are like the second soldier. That they are also working, but every moment they are looking for a loophole to escape from that situation. Like those fish caught in the net of the fisherman. All those mumukshu type of fish, all those striving towards freedom, towards liberation, they are looking for ways and means to escape from the fish, from the net. So that is the situation of the yogis. They will remain in this world, they will keep on working, but they are looking for opportunities, ways and means to escape. The yoga jijñāsur, or the enquirer of yoga, is superior like the second prisoner, in as much as he gives thought to self-emancipation. Because now he has, the thought has come to his mind, how can I escape? Even that thought itself is far superior. Because of that thought, his efforts towards escaping from the net, his efforts towards escaping from this new master who has made him a slave, the efforts will start. And only once these efforts start, he can reach certain point. The chanters of Vedas and those others engaged in Vedic rites are concerned with enjoyments on earth and in heaven. The main objective of all these people who study Vedas, the realization of self is far later. Their immediate objective is to enjoy the goodness in this world and and hereafter. The element of enjoyment, that motive is still there. It is not a fruitless action. What Sri Krishna had taught in the Karma Yoga. There is some motive behind it. There is some sankalpa behind it, that these people, they undertake the study of Vedas and perform the Vedic rites and rituals. The scope of ritualistic Vedas also is limited to the senses. The Vedas merely promote and prolong the wheel of birth and death. The knowledge of Veda, it will only prolong. Maybe if one has to remain for 1,000 years in the celestial plane, enjoying all those niceties, by studying Vedas, by performing those rituals, maybe he will remain there for 10,000 years. Or like in the Kathopanishad, like Yama told Nachiketa, don't ask me that third boon, what you have asked. Instead, I will give you all the time you want to spend in that beautiful heaven with all those celestial damsels and the dancing girls and music and fun and frolic going around. And then Nachiketa said, although it may be great amount of time, that has to come to end sometime, isn't it? Even if it is 10,000 years, even if it is 100,000 years, it will come to an end sometime. I am not interested in that. So this is what is indicated here, that this jijñāsa of getting to know what lies ahead is far greater than even the reaching the stage of śhabda-brahmā, of performing, of studying these Vedas and Vedic, because these studies, performing the rituals, is from the objective of spending happy, merry and joyful and blissful life in the celestial heavens. That is the objective. But the inquiry into this interest kindled into knowing what lies ahead, that is far superior than that motive of spending, say, millions and millions of years in heaven and then again come down and again start that process of reaching up to the stage 10. He is the inquirer of yoga gets to know the possibilities of liberating himself from the wheel of birth and death. The jijñāsur, his objective is to escape. It is not to remain there contented in that net and enjoy that net, to stay in the net for, the n number of years. No. The enquirer, the jijñāsur, his effort is to escape, which is the greatest of the things to happen for any jivatma. He who practices yoga is greater still, for he is progressing towards perfection and liberation. So, Sri Krishna says, even an iota of inclination of knowing this yoga is far superior. That is the greatness. And this is such a great assurance he is giving, that once a person starts journey on this yoga, once a person starts practice, walking on this path with non-attachment, nothing goes wrong even if he doesn't meet the end in one life. So that is the assurance Sri Krishna once again told us in this 44th shloka of the Dhyana Yoga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami Ji.